Jim Schultz here for Calculated Risk. And before we get rolling, if you want to like the video or subscribe to the channel, both of those things really help us out a ton. All right, so today we are going to talk about one of the most fundamental relationships in all of the market. Day in and day out, you see this relationship playing out over and over and over again. And of course, I'm talking about the inverse relationship between market prices and market volatility. I mean, trade for just a couple of days and you'll see this relationship for yourself. Right? Market sells off hard, everything is red, and volatility is on the rise. Or, of course, market is grinding higher, everything is calm, and volatility drops like a stone. Well, this is one of the most fundamental and reliable relationships in all of investing. And to understand this, we can actually take two different approaches. We can take a mathematical approach, or we can take an intuitive approach. And so we are going to do both. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the mathematical angle, and we could get super technical and really granular with our analysis, but there's actually a very simple relationship going on mathematically that can help us understand why market prices and market volatility move inversely. At the most basic fundamental level, a stock or a stock price is just a claim on the future cash flows of that company. And so whether the cash flows come from earnings or you've got dividends in the mix or even free cash flow, however you want to slice this guy up, the current stock price is always simply the present value of all those future dollars that the company is anticipated or expected to produce. And the way that you convert future dollars into present dollars is through an interest rate, or more specifically, it's oftentimes referred to as a discount rate. This is very basic time value of money. Future dollars, because of inflation, are always worth less than present dollars. And so whenever we're anticipating or forecasting out into the future some cash flow that may or may not occur, we have to bring those dollars back into the present, and the mechanism that we're going to use to do that is always a discount rate. And put very simply, the discount rate is representative of the risk that is associated with those cash flows. And so when all of a sudden uncertainty rises, when all of a sudden volatility is on an uptick, investors are going to demand a higher rate of return on those cash flows. And so as a result, the interest rate or the discount rate that is associated with bringing those cash flows back to the present must increase. Okay, well, because the discount rate is located in the denominator of basically every time value of money calculation that's out there, you are going to have this inverse relationship. When the discount rate goes up because there's more uncertainty and more risk, that is going to lead to the present value of the cash flows, i.e. the stock price, going down. That's it. That's the math. Higher uncertainty means higher discount rate. Higher discount rate means lower present value. Lower present value means lower stock price. And of course, naturally, the opposite is also going to be true. When uncertainty goes down, when risk goes down, when fear goes down, then discount rates are also going to go down. Well, if discount rates go down and they compress, that's going to send present values higher, which of course is going to send stock prices higher. So mathematically, when you see two things happen simultaneously, implied volatility spike and stock prices drop like a rock, this is not a coincidence. Like, this is not just happenstance. This is the mathematical underpinnings of the marketplace and time value of money, future cash flows, etc., playing out in real time. Okay, so now that we've tackled the mathematical angle, let's now turn to the intuitive angle. And to do this, we need to really just think about how not only people behave, but how investors behave. And by and large, investors are risk averse. They do not like risk. They really dislike uncertainty. And that makes sense because oftentimes uncertainty, as we've learned mathematically, is going to be associated with potentially significant drawdowns in their portfolios. I mean, just think about what happens when something unexpected hits the market, something unknown hits the tape. I mean, it could be a geopolitical thing, it could be an FOMC announcement, it could be a company-wide or company-specific announcement where something blows up in spectacular fashion. Like, what usually happens? Investors get nervous, right? Investors get scared. And what do when they get nervous and they get scared? They don't sit there running discounted cash flow calculations through their spreadsheets or even have their AI agents running discounted cash flow calculations through their spreadsheets. No, they sell right now. They get out immediately. And they move towards safety, right? Cash, gold, treasuries, Snapchat, like wherever they feel their money will be safe, they park it there. And that selling pressure drives down the prices of risky assets like stocks. And then this can be a cascading effect of sorts, where you actually have more selling that begets more selling because you have other investors on the sideline that are watching all this happen. And they're thinking, man, I better get out now, because if I don't get out now, I may not be able to get out later. Or if I do get out later, it's going to be at a far worse price than what I could get right now. So I get out now. That's more selling. It sends the stock down even more. It sends the market down even more. And volatility continues to move on the rise. So again, you get stocks falling and volatility rising oftentimes simultaneously. But now this kind of traces back to investor behavior. This is not necessarily a mathematical relationship that's driving these results. It's more the risk aversion and just how investors typically behave when a lot of uncertainty hits the tape. Again, it's not coincidence. It's not happenstance. This just drives into the behavioral element that most investors are going to operate within. And so you have this inverse relationship that can really be understood one of two ways, right? It can be understood the mathematical way. It can be understood the intuitive way. But another thing to understand is the relationship between volatility and market prices is not symmetric. Volatility oftentimes expands much faster than it contracts. When markets sell off, fear and volatility can go from 0 to 100 in very short order. I mean, the VIX, or the volatility instruments in the marketplace, they can double, they can triple, they can quadruple very, very quickly, oftentimes in a matter of days, if not even sooner. But when the markets recover, yes, oftentimes there's a very rapid volatility contraction once some closure is reached in the market, in the economy, what have you. But then after that, it's typically a very slow grind. It's typically very slow, very gradual, very methodical in terms of volatility's contraction as it moves lower and lower and lower. So stocks and volatility move in opposite directions, and they do so for two complementary reasons. Mathematically, it has to be this way, because stocks simply represent the present value of the future cash flows. And when fear and uncertainty are on the rise, the discount rates are also on the rise, sending present values lower. So the inverse relationship mathematically is essentially mandatory. And intuitively, this relationship also makes sense because of investors' risk aversion writ large. When fear and uncertainty are on the rise, they don't want to be in risky assets. They're going to move out of risky assets and into safer plays and safer assets where they feel their cash is more protected. And so, when fear is up and uncertainty is on the rise, you're going to see selling pressure in stocks, individual stocks, indexes, and things of the like. And as option traders, like, this whole relationship is our friend. Like, this whole relationship is opportunity, right? Because remember, we want to sell volatility when it's elevated. We want to put ourselves in a position to take advantage of the eventual volatility contraction that's going to come when volatility has expanded. And so this inverse relationship and these mathematical underpinnings, they help us as option traders. Volatility moving higher means option prices are moving higher. Selling options when the prices are higher gives us more profit potential on the options that we sell. And then when or if volatility does contract soon and quickly, then we can find ourselves in a really, really desirable situation and outcome on the premium positions that we have indeed sold. And we'll see you guys next time.